Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. I'm wondering if you can imagine what it would be like for the world to be influenced by just one man. Of course, that one man that I'm talking about is none other than Elon Musk. Now, the reason why I want to raise this is that um, there is a train of thought that says that Musk is endeavouring to gain as much influence as he can over every possible social media outlet that there is, to influence the way that we think and that we feel, just to simply give him the power and authority of no other, to be an emperor, if you like, of the world. Is this possible? Is it likely? And my fear is that it's heading in that direction. And there's been some interesting insights into that recently, where it's been reported that he plans to purchase OpenAI for about $90 billion. A consortium of like-minded people who believe that controlling artificial intelligence would give him control and management over what information is imparted to you and I. Now, he already has that influence in terms of X. He's also talking about purchasing parts of TikTok so that the United States can still have TikTok on one of their platforms. So let's imagine that for a moment. Let's imagine that Elon Musk had control over X, is able to determine what it is that you and I see. Now, currently under X, we publish, if we publish something in X, then there's a chance that it will be viewed, it won't be taken down. But let's imagine for a moment if he had the authority to restrict what we post, if we're on the left or if we're progressive or if we stand against Elon Musk. Imagine what it would mean if he was able to control what was placed on the X platform. Not only that, can you imagine for a moment what it would be like if he just deleted us, or if he just did not spread any of the posts that we put up? In fact, deleted those posts if he disagreed with them. Now that's possible, but he hasn't done that to this point. I think he's deleted some people that he disagreed with highly, but on the whole, he hasn't attacked those on the left who think differently to him. Those posts still appear on X. But it is possible that he might at some particular point. If he was able to control AI, can you imagine what it would be like if you put in a request for something that was left-leaning and AI gave you a right-leaning response, that it diverted whatever it was that you were asking into this other realm, which is going to provide you with an answer which people like Elon Musk want you to read, as opposed to open source AI, which will provide you information based on what it collects across the internet. That is possible also. So this man, then this isn't just about the United States. This is about doing it everywhere. So around the world, this man could have ultimate power and control over information that you and I receive. Primarily because these days, most people receive their information over social media. Now, does that mean then that there's an opportunity here for mainstream media to come back into play? Maybe it does. I don't know. But what it does mean is that information is likely to be skewed in such a way that you and I will not be receiving appropriate information, and we won't be receiving a broad range of information. It will be narrowly focused on what people like Elon Musk want us to read. Now, there was a session yesterday, American time, today I think it would be our time, where Trump and Musk stood together. Well, to be honest, Musk stood there higher and looking far more powerful than what Donald Trump is, articulating what he believed Doge were doing in the United States. And I want to read you some of this article because this tells you a lot about the hypocrisy that is Elon Musk. So this report was in the Times, but it does show us now. There's this photograph which I thought was rather interesting. So there's this photograph. I think fascinates me because this is Donald Trump and Musk's kid, I think his name's X, appropriately, and Donald Trump's looking down at this kid as if to say, God, I wish I was you. And the kid's looking up at Donald Trump saying, I don't wish I was you. And Elon Musk is ignoring both of them, which tells us a lot. And I don't even understand why this kid's there half the time, but he is. So there's this. So I just want to read you little bits and pieces of what they said here. The billionaire Elon Musk said in an extraordinary Oval Office appearance Tuesday that he was providing maximum transparency while offering no evidence for his sweeping claims that the federal bureaucracy is corrupted by cheats and officials who have approved money for fraudsters. Now, the interesting part of all of this for me is that he talks about what they're doing and he talks about this transparency. So he's trying to convince us that what Doge is doing is transparent and is beneficial for the American people. Now, we must remember that this sort of language, this sort of conversation is a con. It is not true, but it is a con. He goes on to say, answering questions from the media for the first time since his arrival in Washington to run the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, Mr. Musk stood next to the Resolute desk, and I like that bit that he was taller than Trump, looking far more authoritative than Trump does. And Mr. Musk stood next to the Resolute desk and asserted that his work was in the interest of the public and democracy. And there's one thing we can be sure about. It's got nothing to do with democracy. President Trump sat behind the desk, chiming in with approval as he let the world's richest man expound for roughly 30 minutes on the rationale for the administration's overhaul of the federal bureaucracy. Among Mr. Musk's claims offered without evidence, and that is important to note, was that some officials at the now gutted USAID were taking kickbacks. He said that quite a few people in the bureaucracy somehow had managed to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they were in that position. He later claimed that some recipients of Social Security checks were as old as 150. Nothing to verify any of that. But it is important to understand that there's something hypocritical about the world's wealthiest man criticizing others for creating wealth themselves. Now, I admit it could be dubious as to how that's happened, but nevertheless, it is incredible that this man cannot see the hypocrisy in any of the things that he says. And I'll just finish off with this bit. We're actually trying to be transparent, as transparent as possible. Yeah, I'm sure you are. Mr. Musk said, referring to postings by his team on his social media site X. So all our actions are maximally transparent. I don't know of a case where an organisation has been more transparent than the Doge organisation. In reality, Mr. Musk's team is operating in deep secrecy, surprising federal employees by descending upon agencies and accessing sensitive data systems. Mr. Musk himself is a special government employee, a fact that the White House has said means his financial disclosure filings will not be made public. So, interestingly enough, we have a situation where a man who does not have any clearances security clearances, who has not been elected for this position, is advocating that there's complete transparency and a system whereby he simply goes into places, is given authority to do so from whom we do not know, clearly the White House, I guess, but he goes into these places and he accesses data and information that he isn't entitled to have. Now, I wanted to ask my Australian audience how you would feel if this person came into your home or came into the government, I should say, and decided that she was going to take over managing the systems that we now have: social security, education, DEI. She was going to just completely eradicate all the things that we think are important in this country. What would you think if Gina Rinehart had the power and authority to do that? You would be horrified. Even Sky News would be shitting themselves if that was the case. So why is it then that we think it's okay for Elon Musk in the United States to do exactly the same thing, when we know that we would not approve of someone like the richest person in Australia doing exactly the same thing to us? We wouldn't. We'd find it abhorrent. We would object, and rightfully so. So one of the things I think that really does concern me is that we're going to, as long as we allow people like Elon Musk to do what they do, to take over social media, and that's one area, and then there's interfering in government is the other, to have the power and authority to interfere in government. Where does it end? At what point do we say enough's enough? And who's going to stop him? Because in the United States, right at this particular point in time, the government is acquiescing to the world's richest man and the whole host of billionaires, Zuckerberg and Bezos and others, who are seeing this as an opportunity by which they can make more money. That is yet to be proven or not, because who knows? Maybe it will. Trump has a habit of bankrupting everything that he touches, so there's a good chance he'll do the same to the United States, and tariffs may be the way by which that will happen. Who knows? But really, we need to be mindful of what's happening and how it can be stopped. And the only way that it can be stopped, I think, is for politicians to apply legislation, have it supported by the courts around the world, that prohibit the influence of people like Elon Musk and other people such as Donald Trump. The United States is not capable of doing that, but maybe, just maybe, the European Union, the UK, Australia, and other countries may be able to get together to ensure that those people don't have the influence and power that they would like to exert over us, particularly in relation, as I said earlier, in terms of social media. So let me know what you think about all of that. As an Australian, how do you feel about the potential for someone like Gina Rinehart to come over and take over our system? Because I think that from these things that we're learning about in the United States, they apply to us as well. And we must be mindful of them, because they could influence what happens here in our country as well. Let me know in the comment sections below. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.